Hi, I'm Nicole, the owner-operator of Padilla Bay Farm. Well, I'm the farmer at Padilla Bay Farm. And if you're watching this video, it's because you're interested in where your meat comes from and how it's produced. And the purpose of this video specifically is to show you how I've worked to lower the carbon footprint of the meat that I raise here. And I'm really glad that you're watching this video because the world needs better informed eaters. There's my flock of sheep. Okay, so land use change is a big contributor to the carbon footprint of your meat. And here at Padilla Bay Farm, instead of cutting down trees or changing the way that the land was being used, we found land that was unused and restored it to use as pasture for our sheep. And this pasture is really excellent because it's silvopasture. And silvopasture is a practice where trees are included in your grass. I'm getting headbutted by my ram down here. Where trees are included with your grass. Project Carbon Drawdown says that including these trees, the silvopasture practice, increases the amount of carbon that you're sequestering by 5 to 10 times what it would be if you were just using grass alone. And the shade that the trees provide also gives us additional benefits. It gives us shade for the sheep on hot days and shade for the grass so that it grows better during drought conditions. Okay, time to talk about emissions. Emissions are another one of the big three factors that contribute to the carbon footprint of meat. You saw the sheep before. Sheep have half the carbon footprint of beef, but they still have a relatively high carbon footprint because they're ruminants. They have 4 stomachs that are breaking down grass and to make food for themselves. And behind me, you see my pigs. Pigs have a fraction of the carbon footprint of sheep because they're monogastric. They have 1 stomach, but that means that they don't really do a great job of breaking grass down. Okay, but whether it's a monogastric pig or ruminant sheep, all animals have tailpipe emissions. And tailpipe emissions, if they're not managed properly, will release methane, which is a really, really potent greenhouse gas. It's far more potent than carbon dioxide. According to the University of Nebraska at Lincoln, the best way, it's also the oldest way, the easiest way, and the most efficient way to manage the methane that's normally that can be released by all animal manure is to age it and compost it. This is my manure pile. It gets added to and turned regularly, and then it actually ends up being the engine of this farm because once it's aged properly, it can go out into the garden. And from there, it grows our next cycle of crops and feeds everybody, animals and humans included. Okay, so I'm out here in my front pasture with 2 55-gallon drums, and I'm going to talk to you about animal feed, which is the next one of the big 3 contributors to carbon footprint when it comes to the carbon footprint of meat. So the carbon footprint that comes from animal feed is basically due to the fact that you have to have tractors and fuel and fertilizer and sometimes land use change to grow feed for animals. As an alternative to that, well, I supplement about 50% of my feed with brewer's grain. Brewer's grain is a byproduct, a non-alcoholic byproduct of beer brewing. And I get my spent grains, my brewer's grains from local breweries. Shiny Group out of the Netherlands says that using brewer's grain reduces the carbon footprint impact of my animal feed by more than, it's like 1/3 of what it would be if I used commercial grains. So the brewer's grain is less than 1/3 of the carbon footprint of regular commercial grains. In addition to that, using the brewer's grain in this way as animal feed also keeps it out of the landfill, where according to regrained.com it would produce huge amounts of methane, which is a really potent greenhouse gas. So this is a cost-effective way for me to feed my animals. It lowers their carbon footprint, and environmentally it's the right thing for me to do. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up this video about lower carbon footprint meats at Padilla Bay Farm by reminding you the 3 places that your carbon footprint in meat comes from: land use change, emissions, and animal feed. Thank you for watching this video and taking the time to be an informed eater. Talk to you later. Bye.